everybody, I'm Tommy, and you're on the lifeboat. What's happening? It's been a hell of a day, people. It's been one of those days. We're going to get right into it. This is one of those, the Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds case is getting more action right now than probably anything I've seen. I mean, other than Diddy when it first broke, but the number of people that are covering this story is amazing. And I think that some of the bigger parts of the story are getting lost in the translation. This is a situation where, unfortunately, the narrative is going to get hijacked about a million ways. And the saddest part of this, I think, is getting overlooked. And the saddest part is that we come on here and we say that the most important thing is that we respect people's I don't use the word truth because there's only one friggin' truth, and we're finding that out right now. This isn't Blake Lively's truth. There's nothing to that. There is the truth, and then there's your story. There's no such thing as my truth. That's absolute horse feces. I don't know how it ever got traction, but there's no such thing as your truth. There is the truth. Blake Lively has her story. Baldoni has his story, and then there's what really happened. And you know, the beautiful thing is when you friggin' film it, you have a pretty good idea of what really happened. And if your word gets outed for the entire world to see, and we start getting an idea of who you are, you're destroying the MeToo movement. You're destroying people who should take women seriously when they say something like, this man made me feel really creepy. But if you start diving into a little Blake Lively history, there's a really uncomfortable couple of things that this woman has done that gives you an idea of kind of who we're talking about. There's a guy named Jamie Heath. If you guys don't know who Jamie Heath is, he's one of the executive producers on the film that she was in with the Baldoni. He's also Baldoni's partner, which makes him technically her boss, right? This guy is one of the co-owners of Wayfarer Studios. He happens to be black. And I mention that because it's kind of important to this story. Normally, I don't give a crap what color you are, and there's no point in even mentioning it. But Heath walked into the dressing room where Blake Lively was having some makeup removed from her collarbone. So I imagine there was somebody in there, a makeup artist or whatever, and they had sponges and you know, makeup removal, and they're working around here. At the time, she's also breastfeeding. So Jamie Heath says what every other man on planet Earth would have said. Hey, it's a bad time. I'll just come back. I have a question for you. If you have that conversation with me, if you walk in and I'm doing anything and I go, hey, man, you want me to come back? Where am I looking at you? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Where am I looking at you? Now, if you got your breasts out, there's a chance that maybe this guy looks down and she looks at him and sees him staring at her breast. That might be worth, you know, I mean, granted, you whip out a boob, it's probably where an eye, but that's not what was said. Her beef is that Jamie Heath had the audacity to make eye contact with her. I don't know how much you know about Black history, but that was punishable by death at one time. Looking at a white woman, if you were a black man, was punishable by death. If a woman said, hey, he's making eye contact with me and making me uncomfortable, they killed that slave. It's disturbing, isn't it? So he thinks nothing of it. She says, no, you can stick around, and they do their meeting. A couple of weeks later, he sees something that she filled out about it. Heath asked if they should return later. Lively said no, they could move forward with the meeting, and initially planned they would meet after she finished removing makeup. Roughly 2 weeks later, Lively announced that she thought she had seen Heath make eye contact with her. A black man had the balls to look at her in the eyes. Can you imagine? Her boss had the audacity to look at her, to look at her in the eye. Where you look at someone, if you have a conversation, for instance, could you come back later? Where are you going to look at? This is a sick human being. Now, she had her wedding at on a plantation. And you know what? You can lose your mind over this. There's a guy that lost his job over making a mention of the fact that he liked antebellum fashions. Look, I don't know. I really don't. I think as a society, our history is our history. You can take whatever side you want on that. You're tone deaf massively if you have your wedding at a plantation that still has slave quarters on the premises, right? Historic, where these people lived in these houses that don't have doors or windows. You're tone deaf as an actress in Hollywood. There was an incident earlier on in Blake's career where she complained about a makeup artist because the makeup artist insisted on putting lipstick on her with his finger. I've been in one film. They put my lip stuff off on their finger. I don't know. Maybe that's something that some people do, some people don't. The film that I was in, that's how they did it. Who cares? These people literally feel as if making eye contact with them is something that nobody should be allowed to do. This cheapens the movement. And I'll tell you what, let's talk about Ryan Reynolds for a second. If my fiance gets sexually harassed by somebody, do you think I'm going to come on here and make a light of it? Do you think I'd come on and giggle about it? Before they wrapped, so when Deadpool, you know, we talk about this film, this clip of film in Deadpool where he comes up with a character, right? Nice Pool, that he's basing on Baldoni. Got a little man bun. And they're making reference, we've talked about this on the boat a bunch of times, to the dog. Now, the dog, the bitch, as he refers to her, which is what female dogs are often called. It is obvious that this is Blake. The dog is a representation of his wife. And he is making he is basically writing into the Deadpool Wolverine film after they've wrapped. This has already been shot. He brings everybody back out so that he can make a tongue-in-cheek joke about what a douche nozzle Baldoni is and how he doesn't treat women right and all this. He does it tongue-in-cheek. Is that the response of a guy whose wife was SA'd? She didn't say that she was harassed. She was SA'd. That's what she's accused of, right? This man SA'd her, assaulted her. And her husband's going to go and start clowning on it. And then he's going to show up for the production of the film and he's going to joke about who the love interest is and why the guy is showing his ass and his ass is better and all of this stuff. This movie is about domestic violence. She didn't bother reading the book. It took me about 2.5 hours to read it. I don't know why the hell as an actress she couldn't. But this book isn't lighthearted. There's nothing about this book that's a romantic comedy. It's a pretty gritty, nasty story. Now, when they started to make this film, Sony signed on and said that they would be willing to help with distribution. Now, this kind of crap happens a lot, where you get a large group to jump on board and say, yeah, you know, we're gonna come in with you. Part of the deal, Wayfair partnered with Sony to co-finance and distribute the film. That agreement included, at Wayfair's and Baldoni's assistance, a requirement that 1% of the film's proceeds be donated to survivors of DV, domestic violence. The 1% was ultimately earmarked for the organization No More, right, which is obviously No More DV, with which Baldoni had wanted to partner as early as September of 2022. That's a beautiful thing. I'm sorry it is. If you're generating the kind of money that these movies can make, 20 to $100 million, 1% ends up being a lot of money that you can donate. Blake Lively refused to meet with them. It's below her. If you go back and you look through her career, when she was doing that show that I can't remember the name of it because I don't care about who Blake Lively is, but she had that show that was on for several seasons. Her co-star was the product of a mother and father who used to be criminals. And when she was born, both her mother and father were in prison. Not her fault, obviously. She was just the genetic overlord to this crime family. Now, her parents are no longer in that line of work, but Blake Lively at a presser, you know what a presser is? This is where the movie gets together or the cast of the film or the show gets together and they sit in a line and they answer questions for people. She cracks a joke that her co-star was born in a cage. I don't know if you think that's funny. Maybe you need to spend a little time in one if you do. Because there's nothing funny about a mother that gives birth to a child in prison. What a tough way to start your life. This is a bitch. You could say this any way you want, but Blake Lively's a horrendous human being. And we're starting to see it come out. I spent about 9 hours looking at conversations that have come to light between Blake Lively and her husband. And almost every time there's a joke between them, it has to do with infidelity or divorce. I think that, and I think that everybody sees this, we had a really, really jealous man, right, with an ego problem the size of Boston. He recently bought a football team. This would be not American football. This would be soccer, right? What we call here in America soccer. But he bought a football team. They just booted him. The football team wants him gone. Now, he has been, it starts with an R, Wrexham, something like that. Anyway, no disrespect. Starts with a W. Sounds like it starts with an R. I believe it's called Wrexham is the name of the team. But they're booting him out because during this entire time, right, all of this bad publicity is not good for the footy club. But at the same time, he's been trying to buy a different club in Canada, which is part of the MLS. This is a much bigger deal. The team he bought, he and his partner spent £2.5 million, give or take, on, which is a decent amount of money, right? I don't have it. But he's looking at probably £30 million to buy the Vancouver team from the MLS, which is what he's trying to do. Everything about what this guy does is performative art, including his marriage. Honestly, this is one of those people. This is the embodiment of Hollywood. The reason that this needs to be chased down and the reason that we have to care is because they have cheapened DV and they have cheapened all of these women who put up with this kind of abuse in a workplace where you are treated like a second-class citizen because you got boobs and you're not going to be taken seriously and you're not going to be treated as if you're an equal. We don't want to hear about look, you're an actress. Stand on the little pink mark, guess what? If you're an actress, that is your job. Stand on the pink mark, right? And deliver your lines. You're not the script writer. That's not your job. Your job, what you're being paid for, with all due respect, is to look pretty and deliver your lines. If that makes anybody angry, why do you think they hire Blake Lively? Because of her sterling personality? Keep it real. It's that ideal. It's the blonde and the blue eyes, and she's ridiculously thin, and she looks like she's got a fake rack. They're not hiring this woman because she's the world's greatest actress. We're not talking about Meryl Streep. But she goes out of her way to embarrass everybody in this project in one way or another. The iconic rooftop scene, she says during a presser. My husband actually wrote it. Sony doesn't know this. No one on planet Earth knows this. And I'm betting her lawyer's going, you probably shouldn't have said that one. My husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know. But nobody knows that but you now, pardon me. We help each other. He works on everything I do. I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. And I'll tell you what, if you don't think that you're going to go our way, then I'm going to pressure you with people that I have. We've heard this one 30 times. If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, because he said, yeah, I didn't watch it or read it. I didn't watch it, but I read the book. You'll appreciate that I am Khaleesi. And like her, I happen to have a few dragons, for better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for. So really, we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you. And what she meant by that was that the entire presser, as far as they were concerned, the reason people were going to watch this film is because Taylor Swift was going to shove it down people's throats. She was going to bring out, and by the way, she's been lying about Taylor through this whole film. She got cast in this film, according to Blake Lively, because Taylor Swift wanted her in it. There's also several other actresses in there that apparently were greenlit by Taylor Swift. Now, who knows, right? Who knows? It's a pretty weird world. But they were counting on these big name people. He knows Hugh Jackman. He brought him out to help promote this movie, which made a lot of sense, right? Bring Wolverine onto a set to embarrass one of the actors. During the promotion of this film, she's pushing product lines. Now, you could do that. Everybody does this. It really is done by everybody in Hollywood. If they've got famously, the one that was awful about it was Schwarzenegger, right? If Schwarzenegger went ever to the premiere of anything, he would say, and don't forget to go to Planet Hollywood, right? They were always pushing Planet Hollywood down everyone's throat. It's actually even made it into a couple of films as a joke about how people in Hollywood are always pushing and that's fine. Right? Eventually, you're going to hear me go, and you know what? This is a hell of a product, right? Everybody does that eventually. You got to sell out if you're going to make it, I guess. To some level, I get it. Maybe not if your movie's about domestic violence. Maybe not if the point of this film is to talk about abuse. Because alcohol, leads to a lot of domestic violence. In fact, if you research it, it's horrifying. If we removed alcohol magically from our society, you got any idea what would happen to DV? She's naming drinks after people in the movie. This is an absolute dumpster fire of Hollywood. This is an opportunity to look at people. When that MeToo movement came out, do you know she had a MeToo moment? You don't remember her probably from the MeToo movement, but she decided to have a MeToo moment. She decided to take that guy that was putting the lipstick on with his finger. She decided to actually file a case against him at the exact same time as the MeToo movement was coming out. And she came out and said, look, while I was not, I didn't go through what these other women went through. No, she just had a guy that wanted to put her lipstick on with his finger. She also said that he filmed her while she was sleeping. Now, I don't know if she was asleep on set, and who knows what the story is, but allegedly the guy was black. And allegedly she has a real problem with people whose skin color is not white. Now, you can dismiss that and go, well, people in Hollywood, this is the co-owner of the studio that's booking your movie, and you're angry because he made eye contact with you while you had a breast out. Where did you want him looking? This is really bizarre. And it's weakening the MeToo, whatever you want to call it, movement. It's weakening a woman's ability to come out and say, please believe me. I realize this is a big star or whatever, but please believe me, this person was doing X, Y, and Z. And we go, yeah, sounds a lot like Amber Heard. Doesn't it? Sounds a lot like Blake Lively. How about the next person who has somebody that really is being what she had claimed Baldoni was? What about the next woman who's actually having somebody grope her or say really inappropriate things? There are text messages back and forth between these people. And in one of them, Baldoni says, oh, I like, how does he word it? He says, I like sentimental, what the hell's her name? Blake. I like sentimental Blake. Her response is, never met her. He says, I also like asshole Blake. Don't worry. And she said, yeah, I've met her. He says, okay, good night. She says, so I have my suppositories. Everybody knows what this is. It's a small thing you insert into your rectum with the use of your finger. And it's probably not something you want to say to somebody you think is sexually harassing you. Odd, right? Odd. But see, this has nothing to do with anything other than two stars, right? Who think that they ought to own the world. They're comparing themselves, I promise you, to what happened when Barbie came out and you had Oppenheimer, right? Oppenheimer is a very serious film, and you had the Barbie film, and the two of them were kind of going side by, and they kind of fed off of each other. There were people who were commenting on how, in a world of Hollywood, you could have two films that are so different from one another that are competing and yada, yada. And everybody during Barbie was wearing pink. I don't know if you saw this. But when people went to movies, they all wore pink, and pink became like the Barbie color. Everybody and that movie, if you went to premieres of this movie, everybody was in pink, and they were all wearing little Barbie hats. And there was kind of this thing that went with it. So these two egomaniacs are going to do the same thing for Blake Lively's film, It Ends With Us, except instead of pink, it's going to be floral, right? So Blake famously says, get your best friends, put on your floral patterns or something along those lines, and come on out to the film. Now, in her defense, I found 25 other people that said the exact same thing. She was not the only, that had to be a directive from Sony. But whose idea was it? And while she's on the red carpet and they're interviewing her about her film, she looks up and she says, Deadpool sold out already? Geez, why are they getting so much action? Jealousy between husband and wife, maybe. Two big egos in Hollywood. And guess what? She's not an A-list star. Everybody keeps saying that crap. She's not an A-list star. When's the last film she did? See, this was her big comeback. She hadn't done a film in a while, and this was going to be a big deal. And you know what? Her husband's done this throughout his entire career. He targets people who don't have a lot of experience directing. If you're a fairly new director, he's going to push up on you, and he's going to tell you why you're not doing a good job. And this does happen a lot in Hollywood. When I was deep diving this, there are so many stories. Edward Norton did Apparently, during the filming of American History X, he and the director almost killed each other. He cut the film without permission and brought it to a film festival, and the director showed up and went nuts. And the production company had to say, whoa, get these two boys back together, see if they can't put the film together. Now, if you've seen American History X, it's one of the most disturbing films you've ever seen. But it's art. I mean, it hits home. You get the point. It's a story about racism, and it is raw and gritty and disgusting, and the prison scenes are rough. It's a nice piece of work. It's not a feel-good film. I don't like watching it, but they did a hell of a job on it. But that's what happened in Deadpool. Not sure if you know this, but Ryan Reynolds took over Deadpool. He basically steamrolled the ever-loving crap out of the director and began to write it. And now the franchise is his. And guess what? He killed it. I'm not mad at Ryan Reynolds for that. I'm not. But the difference is that was a movie about a wise-ass, cracking, sex fiend, weirdo, right? All of the things that make Deadpool who he is, make that a perfect vehicle for a guy like Ryan Reynolds. I haven't seen the film, but I've watched and read excerpts from the rooftop scene. Compare it to the one in the bed. They destroyed this film in an attempt to make it a romantic comedy. And who was rewriting it? Ryan Reynolds. She comes out and she says it, right? He wrote that scene. You don't know that, right? But he wrote that scene. It's a really, really disturbing side note. Let me give you a little perspective from a guy that has junk between his legs. When the MeToo movement came out, you had a group of people that went, yeah, this is jacked. And it's the same reason we're screaming about Diddy. It's the same reason we're screaming about Voldemort. It's because people in power have the ability to say, I'll make you famous or I'll make you poor. Get on your knees. Now, this happens in way many iterations. It doesn't have to be sexual. This is the perfect example of Blake Lively and her husband. There's no difference between what was going on with these power-hungry freaks. The difference is that she wasn't trying to get laid, right? Ryan Reynolds isn't trying to use people to have sex. He's trying to use people to take over virtually in everything that they do. To bring a film crew back out. Now, if you research Marvel Studios are the Nazis of filming. Like everything is on a schedule. It's absolutely brutal. You're going to do... We've talked often about how this guy said, listen, I would tattoo the face of your line director on my perineum, my taint, if he could move up the shooting schedule 2 weeks. Do you have any idea what that entails? Honestly, I'm a YouTube creator. Hey, Tommy, can we do this thing in 2 weeks? Sure. What difference does it make? I take my notes, I put them away, and we do it in 2 weeks. Okay, if you're filming a movie, you get permits to film. Those permits last 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever the time you need is. So you're going to go scrap it. We spent the last 6 months getting all of the permits, renting all of the buildings, getting everything ready, getting all of the equipment, because you don't own that equipment. More than likely, you're renting all of it. But we're going to call everybody back and say, oopsie, we want to do it 10 days sooner or 10 days later or whatever to fit Ryan Reynolds' schedule. Because this guy, he doesn't like being separated from his girlfriend. You want to know what I think? I think Blake Lively wanted to bone her co-star. That's what I think. I think this was a weird sexual tension triangle. I think Ryan Reynolds is a cuck. I'm not joking. He seems to get real weird whenever his girl is working with anyone. And it's weird because he spawns projects, right? He spawns projects and he brings people in and he works with people seemingly to get revenge. When his ex-wife starts doing something and doing really well with certain individuals, he'll spawn a role for that individual. Or if they want somebody to back him in this lawsuit, they'll give him a spot on his documentary about Wrexham, where the woman comes in and says, a bromance is when two men have a friendship that goes beyond a normal friendship. Women do this stuff all the time, but because of the dynamics of men, there actually has to be a word for this. Bromance. You know why? Because guys can't be friends. And if we can't hug each other or do any of that stuff, right? But you paid someone. How much you pay that woman to come on and do that? Then you ask her, hey, Was Baldoni weird to you at all on the set? There was so much going on behind the scenes to try to get people to turn on this guy. I don't think she ever planned on actually having to follow through. I think these lawsuits were threats, and I think that it was just going to get out there and it was going to quietly go away. Except Baldoni kept the cameras rolling. Baldoni knew this woman was a shrew. When he filmed that scene in Deadpool, right, where he viciously murders the character that is based on Baldoni. The only reason that the character is in it doesn't even fit. It makes no sense in the film, apparently. I haven't seen the film, but this is how it's written. He just wanted to kill this guy on film. So he creates a character with a man bun, right, who is very, very, he's a feminist. He's a male feminist. He's a guy that absolutely cares about women. That's Baldoni, by the way. But the narrative had to change. He couldn't have that. This guy had just gotten a job with the biggest firm on planet Earth, right? William Morris. You want an agent in Hollywood, man? That's who you want. There's another one. What is it? Something AA or whatever. But one of the two, and then there's a few huge ones. But this is it. This is the big dog. And he got a gig, right? He got. By the way, also the other co-star from the film, the man, he got picked up by the William Morris agency like that. Why? Well, because Ryan Reynolds can pull that string, and we know he can because he got Baldoni fired from him. He got Baldoni fired because he was a sexual predator. I got news for you. There are people out there that say I am. There are people out there that say I have sex with sheep. If I want to sue them, right, I have to prove damages. If 200 of you walk away and I lose 200 subscribers, what do I tell the court that's worth? Honestly, how do I quantify that? Well, 200 subscribers, if all of them watched one video, it's pointless because we work on massive amounts of views to get any small amount. You can't, there's no way to quantify. But how about this? How about if you walk into a lawyer's office and say, I just got fired from William Morris, who probably would have booked me minimum 2 films a year, right? I'm a man, so I could work until my 60s, still working as an action star. It's not like a woman's career where you got kind of a bit of a window. Let's be honest. Hollywood is sexist as crap. And the leading woman is always in her 20s and 30s, and the guy can be 60, right? They can bring in Brad Pitt or whatever. This has been a Hollywood disease forever. But the parts for men, you can 65-year-old guys, you can write them in and have them play, the lead in Die Hard and give them a, 22-year-old co-star. And for whatever reason, we buy that as a society. It's a very bizarre thing how all of that kind of goes on in Hollywood. But these people start to play this game where they're going to poison all of us. And they're literally joking about it. I've been going through all of the text messages that have leaked out from these PR firms, right? And all of these PR firms are literally sitting in a room talking about how we can absolutely destroy people and they don't realize it. I'm not joking, like that out in the open. Talking about, was this your work? The term is astroturfing. If you haven't heard this term, you're going to hear a crap load of it in the next year. I predict, as many already have. This will be the one of the phrases of the year that gets added up to the new, right? Because what's astroturfing? Well, here's what astroturfing is. You may not believe this because I'm sure I'm popular as hell over there, but I've never been to Reddit. I've never looked at one Reddit post. Once I figured out what Reddit was, I've never wanted to go over there. But apparently, Reddit is where you start all the BS. You want to start destroying somebody, right? If you're one of these big PR firms, you start on Reddit. And there are some things that I didn't know as well. Like you can actually pay Reddit. Yeah, you can get a membership in Reddit. And that membership will give you some, you can make things happen by paying money. You can make things happen. And they start these horrendous rumors on Reddit. And then YouTubers pick up these horrendous rumors and everybody starts to, but it's called astroturfing, right? Because what would you do with grass? You grab a handful of grass seed and you throw it out and you kind of hope that it works, right? Well, with AstroTurf, you just roll that crap out. You don't have to worry about seeding anything. It's just fake. We're going to put out all these fake stories and we're just going to carpet the entire country with crappy stories that says that this guy is a sexual predator until we ruin his life. But guess what, boys and girls? You can quantify, like I was saying, You can quantify how much this guy could have made. 25 years, 2 films a year, 50 films. I get 3 million a picture, 5 million a picture. He's suing for $400 million. Now, can he justify $400 million in damages? There's no way I could possibly tell you that. I can't. I can tell you this. Netflix pulled the plug on projects that were supposed to be coming forward with the Lively and Reynolds camp. Fascinating, isn't it? Just straight pulled the plug. And by the way, Netflix, if you can't get something greenlit at Netflix, we're not talking about Sony, right? We're not talking about Miramax. We're talking about Netflix, right? These are the people that didn't they greenlight like Swamp People? Wasn't that one of theirs? I'm sorry. But you know what I'm saying? This is Netflix. Netflix will take anything because they're trying to become a much bigger service. People are pulling the plug. People are walking away. Wrexham just pulled out. These people lost close to 400,000 subscribers each, right? In a short period of time. And I'm telling you, a lot of people haven't really caught wind of this yet. The courts slapped her down and said, no, you're not getting any more time to prepare your case. That's the proof, right? Wait a second. You had all this. You had it. In fact, you had it so dialed that you gave it to the New York Times. Allegedly, the New York Times had this before it was even filed, right? That's the collusion that was going on with the New York Times. Now, how could that possibly be? Do you think that one of these people that runs these PR firms has a sister that works at Page Six? No. Yeah, they do. That's how these PR firms work. They got friends at all of the different papers, and they call them up and they plant the story. You think that the stories that we read are because there are people out there finding stories. You know why everybody gave up on the media up there? Because the stories are hand delivered, and they're hand delivered with a mother-loving angle that they're going to push through, right? Here's what we want to get out. And this is why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds decided that they're going to sue because this guy was trying to destroy their life. Well, do you know what the text messages actually show? They show Baldini saying, I don't want to do anything negative against her. No joke, people. How bad is that? Honest to God. Take this from a recovering criminal. It's like sitting in an interrogation room and watching your co-defendant walk in. Had this happen to me, by the way. You're sitting in there being interrogated, and your co-defendant walks in and sits down in the other chair, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And then your co-defendant takes out a badge. Yeah, the guy that you thought you were doing all of the crime with, that shock moment where you go, oh, no. Yeah. There are text messages out there from Baldoni saying, I don't want to go after this woman. I don't want anything negative. You're like, this stuff's not us, right? And they said, no, we're not doing any of that. I don't want to go after her negatively. How do you think this is going to look in front of a freaking jury? I'm going to tell you how it's going to look. It's not going to be just bad for Blake. It's going to be bad for every woman in Hollywood and every woman in the entertainment industry who is actually going to get what happens every day in that industry, right? New Diddy stuff, right? Diddy allegedly there was a 15-year-old girl now that is bringing a case against Diddy who says she was part of a human tea ring. And although Diddy didn't touch her while she was being essayed, she could watch Diddy essaying a 13-year-old who was part of the same human tea group that this young woman was in. This is what we're talking about. This is 2025. It's all we're talking about, right? It's all we're talking about. If you're a star in Hollywood, there's somebody that's probably trying to get you to do something. If you are a entertainer, there's probably somebody that's trying to get you to do something you don't want to do to advance your career. And we got a woman that has had nothing but a 2-mile wide red carpet rolled out from the day that she came out and started breathing. And she's screaming about how oppressed she's being by this industry. The Amber Heards of this world, the Blake Lively's of this world, are destroying it for all of the women out there that are actually fighting this, for the people that actually have to deal with this stuff. And it's disgusting. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate you. Really, I do. We're going to watch this explode in a way that you will not believe. And this ain't going away. I don't see an amount of money that would get, if I were him, no amount of money in the world would I settle for. If they said, we'll give you the 400 million, we don't even have to go to court, I wouldn't take it. No. And you know why I wouldn't take it? Not because of anything that Blake Lively said about me breathing on her neck or me making an inappropriate remark or me going in to watch her breastfeed or any of the crap she's accused Baldoni of. The reason I would want to see her nailed to the ground with her husband is for the fact that she was offended by a black man, not a key grip, not a janitor, the partner in the studio that she is working for currently had the huevos to stare this pretty white girl in the eyes. Put a 2 in the chat if you find that disgusting. I have a thing about racism. For real. You know, my fiance and I made, we never mentioned a troll's name ever, but we made a reference to one the other day. And one of the reasons that he and I hate each other is because the guy's a Nazi. Straight up. Uses the N-word all the time. Really, really fond of it. Got Swazis all over him and everything. And he's an unrepentant racist. I hate racists. Right now, I'll tell you, I hate them. Hate them. God forgive me. I have absolutely nothing but contempt and hate for people that still see skin color in 2025. And if you happen to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I want to see you burn. I want to see you lose your fortune. I want to see you never get a part in another film as long as you live. She's a disgusting human being. And she's got a husband that's worse. This isn't a nice guy. I've been deep diving Ryan Reynolds for days. Listen to the people that have worked with him, right? No one, even the people that aren't out trashing him, trash him. Tobey Maguire said some really weird things. There's a lot of people who, when they bring up Ryan Reynolds, everybody kind of says the same thing, man. He's not the guy you think he is. He's on all the time. Robin Williams, famously, you saw Robin Williams, and he's running around, and there was just, you kind of wanted occasionally, even if you were a Robin Williams fan, occasionally you just wanted to hit the off switch. Maybe see the guy chill out, not be on. But at least he was funny, right? Ryan Reynolds used to be. Now I just think he's mean. Now I look at the cat and I think he's mean. But that autograph session BS that we talked about last week makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? These guys need a lot of help in PR right now. A lot. Because everybody in this country is starting to see the truth. And the beautiful thing is this. Your people at page 6 are worth that right now. For real. All of these PR firms, you guys are 1960, 1970, 1980. I'm not joking. The independents are going to kill you. The people that don't care. Nobody's paying me to trash Blake Lively. She's out there putting my trashing into a whole pile that she considers paid for. That's how all this started, people. That's how all of this started. Her PR firm pulled everything that has been written about, all of the videos, all of the articles, everything that's been written about Blake, and said, look at how ugly everything is gone. There has to be a campaign against us. It can't be that she's a bitch. It can't be that she made a joke about her co-star being born in prison. She was born in a cage. Then another reference where she said something about working with 2 trained monkeys. She'd love to have a trained monkey that she could dress the same way. And she says, but I can't work with monkeys. But I work with these 2. You can go and watch ugly clips that Blake has said to people. There's a gazillion of them. There really is. There's a gazillion of them. Baldoni, when all of the crap started with SPTV way back in the day, you remember? Remember when SPTV was beautiful and everybody loved everybody? Huh? It was actually really, really cool. It was a great place to be. It was a long time ago too, but it was a great place to be. When all of that started to, you know what? Maybe I won't go down that road. Maybe I won't go down that road. Sorry, people. In the mood I'm in, I'm liable to say something that I shouldn't. It's pretty ugly. When everybody gets along and it's a beautiful thing, it's great. When backbiting starts happening and people start going after one another within the community, it's amazing how people, I said back at the, oh, screw it. I went to bat. when all of that stuff happened and the Aftermath Foundation, I said, look, if something happens, right, on a foundation or anything else, your job is to go, yeah, you know what? He's a good dude. Baldoni, through this whole process, every time they came out and they said, yeah, the film is strong. Well, Blake Lively was nothing but incredible. What a talent. And, you know, there's a lot of this film that's her. She actually really took ownership of this. And he was telling us what happened, but he was doing it with so much freaking class. It was literally dripping off of him. This is a very classy individual. This is why his stock's going up. Their stock is going down. And this is why your PR firms mean absolutely shit at this point. Because the people out here, we can see what's going on. We can listen to a bunch of people like me, and you can listen to a bunch of others who take whatever direction they want to see. And you can put all that together and you can make up your own mind. We didn't do that, whether you realize that or not. That's not been something that we've done. Since Hollywood started, they've told us what to think. We read it on the gossip pages and we go, huh? Now, we might go, yeah, I don't like that person anyway. But the story that they give us, that story will be etched in stone. You know how easy it was to start rumors back in the day? Anybody know anything about Richard Gere? Put a 2 in the chat if you know anything weird about Richard Gere you may have heard in a rumor once. Now, by the way, we know that there's no truth to this rumor. For real, this is something that the person that started that rumor has come clean. Very much like Rod Stewart. There was a rumor about Rod Stewart. And the guy that started that rumor has come out and said, I was the one that started that rumor. But I grew up in Vermont. Casper grew up in California. I got friends that grew up in Florida. Every one of us knows that there was a gerbil rumored to be involved with one of those gentlemen, and the other needed his stomach pumped. You could trash people because there was only one media. And if you had a little in with that media, well, then that's how these PR firms are worth billions of dollars. Because for the longest time, they could spin it. They could make it so that everybody thought one way. Well, guess what? Those days are over. It's 2025, and Hollywood is going to explode. Not just Hollywood, but the entertainment industry and any other industry where a rich dude, right, can tell a poor girl or guy that they need to perform fellatio if they want to get the contract that they're involved in, or they need to be sodomized, or whatever these people want. The fact that the term casting couch is just an accepted thing that everybody has been talking about for decades, right? I'm not joking. The first time I heard the phrase casting couch, I was in high school, and I don't want to tell you how long ago that was, but it was a long, long time ago. Why are we still talking about it? How come nothing's been done to fix it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the press has been complicit in protecting Hollywood. It's just part of the gig. And you know what? They throw them a bone. Don't think I'm not kidding, right? The paparazzi gets phone calls. Hey, listen, you think they're always at the right place at the right time? Do you? No, you call your publicist and you say, I'm going out to Naboo tonight with my fiance. I'm going to arrive at about 7:30. Call the paparazzi, call the press. Now, I arrived to go out to dinner and I act shocked. Oh God, they're here. And you run in and, you give them a wave. And then one thing that you want them to print, because they're all gonna. Tommy, what's going on with you and so-and-so? Nah, best of friends. Don't believe anything you heard. It's how they get info out. And we're killing it. We're killing it. TikTokers, right? YouTubers, social media presence, content creators, influencers, whatever the hell you want to call them. There's a billion of us. There's a billion of us. And we're all out here talking about what happens, and we give people an opportunity to weigh in on it. And unlike everybody else, you understand why this can't happen up top, right? Why celestial media can't do this? How the hell, what are you going to do? You're going to go, all right, my reporter, Tommy, this is it. You're on Blake Lively until the story is completely done. Done. Until this thing is over, she is your only story. No way. No way are they paying that guy to chase that down. When we find out these stories, they're independent journalists. These are people that don't have to answer to a boss, so they can take the next 2 years to trash Blake Lively if they want. And guess what? That's changing this world. And it's changing it in more ways than one. Because it used to go like this. Baldoni sexually harassed me. Right? There it is. Baldoni would go, no, I didn't. You would go to court, blah, blah, blah. The Amber Heard case was about the beginning of the end, I think. And we got to now look at what happened with Baldoni. Now, if somebody says, hey, I'm taking you to court because you sexually harassed or sexually assaulted me, and you did this, this, and this. And he just said, F you. I'm not going to wait for court. You're going to destroy my life. First of all, do you know how long it took to film that movie? 2 years. 2 years, right? So during that whole 2-year period, this has been hell on this guy. So his response is, you know what? No, I'm going to lay it all out to you. The people that wrote to me and said, why was he running film? It just kind of proves that things weren't good. And he was running film because across the street, right? Somewhere else, they're filming Deadpool and the guy's already mocking him. That was filmed long ago. They were still texting back and forth like they were friends. And Ryan Reynolds is out there filming this thing that's calling this guy a punk and making him out to be just this feminine, you know. And then he shoots him, I think, 150 times or some outlandish number of times that they shoot him. And Ryan Reynolds is never going to be dumb enough to comment in the press about any of this stuff, right? Honestly, he's going to keep it under wraps. However, he, for people that are into comics, right? And if you've ever gone to like a Comic-Con or whatever, these people are into comics. You can buy graphic comic books that are based off of like a Marvel film. So there are books out there that are made just to talk about the characters from the film or do whatever, and they're collected, and they're $80, $100 each. And the people that are really, really into it, and I'm not picking on them, I'm into Alice in Wonderland and watches and all kinds of weird stuff. But the people that are into it buy it. Blake did, however, describe Nice Pool, the character. He was dumb enough to describe this in one of those little graphic comic book kind of things that they made for the Deadpool franchise. And he says, this is a quote, "In one respect, Nice Pool is everything Deadpool wishes he was," Reynolds says. You know how easy breezy, gorgeous hair, normal face, gold-plated 50 caliber Desert Eagle pew-pews, and this beautiful suit. But the thing that Deadpool is most, is most covetous of course, is dog pool. Now, this would be the Blake Lively. This is the representation of Blake Lively. He's, of course, is dog pool. So Nice Pool initially just existed to serve the purpose of introducing dog pool, but then it evolved and it grew. The idea appealed of creating this character based on, quotes, guys you find in the zeitgeist right now who are faux nice. Faux as in fake, right? They are faux nice. They may present as very progressive and enlightened. Nice Pool himself identifies as a feminist. So does Jason Baldoni, by the way. Had a show about it, right? Did a podcast about it. This is going to end up in court, that dumb bastard. I promise you, they're going to be reading this in court. They're talking about themselves as these incredible allies. But underneath that, there's something a little false and probably awful, Reynolds says. I like that this guy was kind of painting all over this, there's a curse there, all over this shitheadery with his esoteric hot yoga, chakra balancing nonsense and his little top knot and all of that stuff. So we plant this seed early that he's a little fake spiritually. But then he also may be kind of a piece of shit. So it just allows us not to feel too bad about taking his life so brutally. We created him to kill him, right? It just allows us not to feel so bad about taking his life brutally. We created the character for no other reason than to kill him brutally and to have him be a representation of people in the zeitgeist who pretend to be out there for women, but are really essaying them in the background. This is the representation that he is making of Baldoni. And they're going to read that in court. By the way, that's one clip I've been able to pirate from somebody else that pirated it. I'm going to have to buy the book so I can see the rest of it. It is sick. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And let me tell you a little something. Ryan Reynolds is a phony in every aspect. And if you watch enough of the videos of him, he'll tell you he is. He will. His Twitter, his Twitter X whatever handle used to say, you know how you could put a description of yourself? It said, test group or focus group tested to be the best version of Ryan Reynolds. I'm paraphrasing. But he was saying that what you were seeing, it's not really me. This is the representation of me that I want you to see. Now, that's all of us. We all do that. But we're not dumb enough to throw it in your face. Everybody, and I don't mean it in like to the extent that he does, but you see somebody and you go, and you put a smile on, right? You try to be a little bit kinder. Or if you're having a bad day, right? You maybe go and do the work that you got to do when you don't want to do it, right? You go out and you do it. You just be nice when you don't feel like being nice. That's not such a bad thing. But I don't think that's what we're talking about. He said he grew up with relatives that were cops, and they were kind of abusive. But at least that's how he describes it, including his father. And to him, he had to survive by learning how to make people laugh and create situations and be the wise ass that he is celebrated worldwide for today. Go back and Google and see earliest interviews you can find of Ryan Reynolds. Go back and find, I'm talking about the first time anybody ever spoke to that cat. And if you close your eyes, it's Deadpool. That's who Ryan Reynolds is. Now, I don't know if that's who Ryan Reynolds really is, but the character Deadpool is how he acts at all times. So what does that mean? It means we don't have any idea who this cat is. And I don't think a lot of people do, right? You know who knows who he is? His co-star, Hugh Jackman's ex-wife, knows who he is. See, they've been friends for a really long time. They didn't just become friends from this movie. Apparently, they're bromance. And you got to call it that because there is so much homoerotic crap in every single movie that this guy does. All he does is joke about dicks and guys, right? And gay sex. It's his favorite. I mean, you've seen Deadpool. It's a theme that goes throughout the entire film. But these two have been having a bromance for a really long time. And Hugh Jackman was married to a chick for years, decades. And apparently was having an affair. Allegedly, he was having an affair that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were well aware of. And what did they do? Well, apparently they ran distraction so that Hugh Jackman could continue to cheat on his wife. Now, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet my life that every single person that's listening to the sound of my voice has had an opportunity to have a friend that's been cheating on a significant other and you knew about it. It's a horrific thing for anybody to have to endure. It's not a good feeling. However, to hide it from somebody that you've known for over a decade is a pretty shitty thing to do. And I think it speaks volumes to who Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are. Don't let this trash all of the other women out there who really are going to endure this. Today in Hollywood, someone is being told to blow me to get a part. Right? They're hearing that phrase. Somebody in Hollywood today is going to get molested because they want to be a star. And you know what? They might not even get the part. How many times have we heard in the Diddy cases of people that said they were told if they did this, they were going to be famous? What they got instead was assaulted for no reason, right? Other than the gratification of Sean Combs and allegedly his friends and bodyguards and whatnot. This is awful. I personally, I'm a fan of women. I really am. I catch crap for this, by the way. I'm not joking. I catch crap for this. But I am a fan of women. And there's no way you could convince me, regardless of what's happening with Diddy and what's happening with all of that. There's no way you're going to convince me that in entertainment, it's been a 50-50 split of women and men who have had this to sacrifice sexually or their integrity or anything else for the purpose of advancing their career. If I had to take a shot in the dark, I'd say it's probably 90-10, right? 90% of the assaults and the harassment and the intimidation and all of that is a man doing it to a woman. I would say that's probably at least 90% of it. That would be my gut. Now, the 10% could be all Sean Combs because apparently he was real fond of guys and he was real fond of assaulting them. But it has been alleged that Travolta at one point copped to the fact that he had to do some things in order to get parts early on in his career. We know Corey Feldman has talked about some terrible things. So guys are definitely victims. And what Blake Lively is doing is cheapening it for them too, but not like she's doing it for women. Between Amber Heard and Blake Lively, how many people tomorrow are going to hear a story and go, it's probably bullshit. It's probably just somebody that wanted to run the picture themselves. And now they're coming out to file a lawsuit because they're angry that they didn't advance fast enough. Because that's kind of how it looks, doesn't it? Like this has nothing to do with sexual assault. By the way, what she said he did, even if they're acting in a film. You're the woman, I'm the man, we're playing a lead, and I rub my nose up the inside of your neck. The camera's running. This is a setup shot for a romantic scene in a restaurant. Do you know that they bring in intimacy coordinators? How the hell do you get that job and how much does it pay? I'm an intimacy coordinator. I'm going to make sure that this person doesn't do anything to upset this person while we fake sex. She no-showed the intimacy coordinator. The person that they brought in to make sure that none of this could have happened, she couldn't be bothered. But then again, she couldn't be bothered to read the book. You know that most actors, like I was a hack, man. I was a hack. I got a part that had 8 lines in a Warner Brothers film, and I went home and wrote a history of the character, right? Where was this character born? Did he have a mother and a father? Like that's what actors do, right? That's what they tell you when you take acting classes. She couldn't be bothered to read the book. If she had read the book, she wouldn't have made a drink named after one of the characters in the book. She wouldn't have been promoting alcohol. She wouldn't have been giggling on the roof scene to make it funnier. Nothing funny about that book. It's a book about DV. It's not supposed to be freaking funny. Neither was the movie. Thank you. People, I'm sorry that I have not been in the chat much. To be really honest with you, the only thing popping up are super chats. I turned off the chat. My head is in a lousy place, but I wanted to come on today. I apologize for not being a little bit more interactive. I'm hoping to be back tomorrow. I'm having some issues with pain and some other things. So please don't take your eyes off this. And I don't care if you ever watch another one here, but pay attention to what's going on in this case. Because if we don't, they're going to blow it over. And do you know what? She needs to be prosecuted. I'm not joking. People who accuse a man of SA who didn't do it needs to be prosecuted because it's not hurting men. It's hurting women. It's hurting women who really are SA'd. She needs to be prosecuted and her shithead husband needs to be deported. I didn't say allegedly. She needs to be prosecuted and her shithead ex-husband needs to be deported back to Canada. We don't want him anymore. And this is catching on, I promise you. We're going to be keeping an update score on how many people these guys lose because I hate to say it, but I'm taking serious pleasure in watching their online presence tank because it is what is most important to both of these people is their image. They've been crafting it masterfully since he started cheating on his wife with Blake Lively. Allegedly. Well, they went out on a double date, right? This is their story. This is their BS narrative. They went on a double date, but there was so much friction between the two of them that the people they were double dating with were really upset. That would have been Scarlett Johansson. There's no way it could have been anybody else. They were best buds for 2 years before they know. It doesn't. I tried making that timeline fit, and it just doesn't. No, that was him stepping out on his wife. And by the way, I don't have any respect for that either. You want to go bang everything, be single. It's not that hard. Don't take your eyes off this. Don't take your eyes off of any of this. They're going to do everything they can to sweep this crap under the rug. They've been doing it forever. Do you understand? There are PR firms out there worth billions of dollars. For real, billions of dollars. Because they have been crafting stories and shoving it down our throats. This is what you're going to believe. I hope you don't get that from me, people. I'm going to tell you what I think the truth is. And I'm an opinion show. It's what I do. I give my opinion. But I hope you're forming your own. I'm not trying to shove my truth. I don't have a truth. It doesn't work that way. I'll see you guys on the next one. Between now and the next time I see you, reach out and try to save somebody. Have a great night.